The University of Pittsburgh is a hub for some of the most barbaric experiments carried out on late-term aborted human infants. Experiments funded by the United States government. At the same time, the university sponsors the local Planned Parenthood abortion business in what looks like an illegal quid pro quo for fetal body parts. This photo from an experiment published by Pitt scientists in 2020 shows the scalps of 5-month-old aborted babies grafted onto the backs of lab rats, growing the aborted baby's hair on the rodents. The Pittsburgh scientists describe these aborted babies' scalps as full-thickness human fetal skin cut from the heads and backs of the babies, then processed via removal of excess fat underneath the baby's skin before stitching it onto the rats. How was this paid for? With a nearly $500,000 research grant from Dr. Anthony Fauci's NIAID office at the NIH. It gets worse. This photo is from a protocol developed by another Pitt scientist for harvesting the freshest, most pristine livers from 5-month-old aborted babies in order to isolate massive numbers of stem cells for experimental transplantation into adults. You can see the premature baby, aborted alive via labor induction, under surgical drapes with the umbilical cord off to one side as the baby is cut open to harvest the liver. The Pitt scientist who invented this experiment received nearly $3 million from the NIH. Third, the GoodMap project is a multi-year $1.4 million grant to the University of Pittsburgh from the NIH. The grant makes Pitt a distribution hub for aborted fetal kidneys and other fetal body parts for NIH-funded projects across the country. Those are just a few of the recent fetal experimentation projects at Pitt. It's been going on for decades, sometimes on babies delivered alive during later abortions. This is archival footage from the experiments filmed in the 1950s by Pitt's Dr. Davenport Hooker, who obtained live fetuses from abortions at Pitt's hospital and tested their reflexes until they died. A Pitt nurse testified in 1972 before the Pennsylvania legislature that she saw live fetuses from abortions being packed in ice and shipped off for experimentation at the university. Fetal research projects at Pitt generally obtain fetal tissue through the University of Pittsburgh Biospecimen Corps or Health Sciences Tissue Bank from local abortion providers. 2 years ago, sources told CMP that Pittsburgh was one of the major hubs of the FBI's investigation of Planned Parenthood's involvement in the human trafficking of aborted fetuses. This isn't surprising, because CMP undercover investigators were told previously by Planned Parenthood Western Pennsylvania abortion doctors who were on staff at Pitt that they supply the university's tissue bank.
Have you guys ever participated in specimen donation in the past?
Well, there's a tissue bank at Pitt that we offer patients to donate to.
So then why is the University of Pittsburgh telling news media, quote, there is no procurement relationship for tissue with Planned Parenthood?
There's a tissue bank at Pitt that we offer patients to donate to.
What is Pitt so afraid of admitting? Since 2005, the University of Pittsburgh has been a major location for Planned Parenthood's Ryan residency and family planning fellowship abortion training programs. Some of the most notorious Planned Parenthood abortion doctors came up through the program. Remember Dr. Jennifer Russo, the vice president of Planned Parenthood, Orange and San Bernardino counties? She supplied the aborted fetuses to the criminal company Da Vinci Biosciences, which admitted illegally selling the fetal body parts and was shut down by local law enforcement. She did her abortion training fellowship at the University of Pittsburgh. Dr. Mitch Crennan is the Planned Parenthood research officer who used to run the abortion training program at Pitt and Planned Parenthood Western Pennsylvania. Now he develops experimental abortion techniques and tries to stop pregnant women who regret taking the chemical abortion pill from accessing the antidote. How about Dr. Ann Chudinay, the chief medical officer of the notorious Planned Parenthood Gulf Coast, which was terminated from Texas Medicaid due to their willingness to use partial birth abortions to sell fetal body parts. She too was trained at the University of Pittsburgh. Today, Dr. Beatrice Chen, the medical director of Planned Parenthood Western Pennsylvania, is in charge of the abortion training programs at Pitt. Dr. Sharon Achilles, the laboratory director at Planned Parenthood Western Pennsylvania and a prominent faculty member at Pitt, is on the Planned Parenthood Federation of America National Medical Committee. Planned Parenthood Western Pennsylvania, meanwhile, is a contracted care site for the University of Pittsburgh, receiving access to the medical students, medical resources, medical infrastructure, patient population, and referrals at the university system. So here's what we know, just from the publicly available sources. 1. Planned Parenthood abortionists supply the aborted fetuses to Pitt. 2. Pitt uses its access to the fetuses to get major NIH grant money. 3. Pitt sends major kickbacks and medical resources back to Planned Parenthood. It all starts to look suspiciously like an illegal quid pro quo over aborted fetal organs and body parts, all funded by taxpayers. Call your Pennsylvania representatives to demand answers and accountability from Planned Parenthood and the University of Pittsburgh now.